Yeah. Boom to the hay, all you sports fans out there. The tubosphere to you, the individual, as part of the collective. Welcome to Fast Track Sports Rock College here on Talk Radio version of the OMSR. I am your brief but concise host, Will, the alternative ESPN Sports Thrill. Always do a little show like this and like that. Let you know the clip order coming up and the whys to wherefores as a courtesy. Plus, you get the quickie sport rant to the segment. So, talking briefly and concisely about that time of year where the OMSR spends a lot of time helping to build up the tension, starting right now. This is the month of this show, April to the end of August. College football spring news and such. This is the baseline show, part one. All right, the last little bit of reporting I'll do on this. All the video highlights courtesy to ESPN and College Football Live. Everything else to the OMSR. I like to take little good sound bites and stuff going on there. Think of this as like ESPNW. Again, part one, a continuation of the discussion of the NCAA and their silly-ass rules in the past about stipends with regard to food, and how that, in contrast, relates to unionization of players vis-a-vis the Northwestern decision. Part two, who's going to take over for Johnny M at Texas A&M? And beautiful timing there, excuse me. Some players coming back. Don't call it a comeback year, just call it a year you forgot about me last year. And then in parts three, players, most notably quarterbacks with some intangibles, and they're doing what at Georgia to inspire the defense? Donald who? All right, maybe he played football in his past, I'm not sure. All right, on the quickie sport rant to the segment. If you're watching parts 2 or 3, go back and see part 1. If you're on part 1, we'll play.
It was tweeted, so you know it's true. USC has named Cody Kessler its starting quarterback. He also tweeted that Max Brown has no intention of transferring. Coach Steve Sarkisian did add that the competition is going to wage on, and Kessler's starter status is contingent on continued improvement. So, guys, I got to ask you this. Why name him the starter now, Joe, instead of waiting until later in the summer?
Max Brown has all the physical tools. I mean, he's a big-time recruit. Steve Sarkisian wanted him at Washington, but the bottom line is this is Cody Kessler's team. He seized control of the team last year, and he never let it go. The players respect him. They respect that he shows up every day. First guy to leave, first guy to show up, last guy to leave. That he's gritty on the field. That he's, it goes beyond the physical tools. It's about intangibles.
Well, as coach Steve Sarkisian is a former All-American quarterback himself at BYU, he understands how important that is. He recognizes it when he sees it.
Yeah, he said, I love his leadership in the locker room with the players, so right now he's your starter, but who knows, Max Brown, the door is still open for him. Cody Kessler has those intangibles. Who else has types of intangibles like that in college football right now?
I was trying to think of guys. Taylor Kelly at Arizona State is a guy who has the tremendous respect of his head coach, Todd Graham. Todd Graham, if you talk to him about Taylor Kelly, says he's a student of the game, that he is confident but humble, that he's intelligent, that he listens and shows respect to his coaches, and that he is essentially a coach on the field. So with Taylor Kelly, it's not just about the fact that he completes a high percentage of his passes. It's that he listens to his coaches and tries to be a coach on the field.
Well, he'll be competing against the guy in this conference, UCLA's Brett Hundley, that has a lot of those qualities. A couple of years ago, Hundley was fantastic at UCLA behind a young offensive line that got him beat to a pulp. And he kept on getting back in that huddle, leading that team, not pointing fingers. Now all of a sudden he's got more experience on that offensive line, but the investment that he's made in taking the hits and moving on are paying off. Taysom Hill, BYU, same way. Last year they were rotating in a lot of young offensive linemen, and Taysom Hill didn't have time to drop into the pocket, set, and throw. It would be drop, set, and ouch! And he still stayed in there, never pointed a finger. This is the
Texas game.
Listen, let's hope not for Texas' sake.
He ran a ton, too. I mean,
yeah,
he had to run for his life.
That's right. This guy.
And now his passing will improve because he has a chance to work on drop, set, throw, and timing instead of running away. But as a quarterback, you have to earn the right to have that kind of leadership, and both of those guys have done it. And Taylor Kelly.
Well, we're talking about intangibles. I mean, we just listed a bunch of quarterbacks, but there's got to be other guys on a roster that can have that type of leadership intangible, no?
Yeah, there are. But the quarterback is the guy talking in the huddle. You want that to be your quarterback, and at times that's just not that guy. And it's a bit awkward if your quarterback doesn't step up to be that guy.
When you're a corner or a receiver, and you've been in the locker room, I'm guessing that intangibles are a little less important.
Well, the intangibles are different then.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
you want the guy to show up and not be a headache, but there's so much more of an independent type of thing.
That's right. The intangibles there are make a play, but I don't need to get along with you if you're a corner or receiver. I need you to stay out of my way.
How many wins can an intangible get you? How many tangible wins can some quarterback's intangible get you?
The wins they get you are where it comes down to one series.
Gotcha.
Those are the wins they get you.
All right. Well, still to come here at Georgia, they are using Donald Trump tactics during spring ball. See why they're having a rotating spot on defense. Every starting spot up for grabs. Coaches motivate in many ways. For new Georgia defensive coordinator Jeremy Pruitt, it's a revolving depth chart that changes every moment. Pruitt yells, "You're fired," to a player who messed up and replaces him on the field. Now, Pruitt says he will not determine a starting lineup until it's time to prep for Clemson. Looking at Georgia's defensive numbers a season ago, here is why he's doing this. He allowed about 30 points a game. Only Arkansas, Kentucky, and Texas A&M gave up more among teams from the SEC. And the Dogs were also in the bottom half of the conference in yards allowed, 20-plus yard completions allowed, and opponents' third down conversion percentage. So something needed to happen. Jeremy Pruitt comes in and says, "You're fired. We're changing things up a little bit." What do you think of this philosophy, Trevor?
Football's a hard game. You can't have soft people playing it. And the only way to make you hard is to put pressure on you. That's what Pruitt's doing, and I love that. A couple of years ago, I did a breakdown on this show, and I named names and called Georgia's defenders soft, and they were. And the thing is, Pruitt, at the beginning of spring practice, the first spring practice, graded the tape with 147 loafs. Loafs meaning a play that you didn't finish.
I've been hearing about loafs in the Georgia defense for years.
Right.
We have this discussion every year.
147
Why?
loafs. Second day, 13
For loafing around.
So he's getting them to practice in a way that they haven't.
That means like
they're
a
not
loaf
used
of
to.
bread?
That means lazy. That means you didn't finish the play right. But the point is, I like it that he's not trying to give them anything. He's making them earn everything. And if they don't, guess what? You're fired. Next man up. I like it.
I'm personally motivated by the college football live depth chart.
Well, that's because you're up at the top of it. That's.
The other thing he's doing is he hates spring awards.
Yes.
I always thought it was lame when you go to a spring football game and they're like, yeah, the strongest guy. Who cares?
What do you mean, who cares?
Awards are fantastic.
No, awards are
ways
great.
of motivating
Great.
people. Yeah.
Sure.
People love
You're
trophies.
just something to shoot for.
People love awards.
Pruitt said he didn't want to give
And
out.
Pruitt doesn't like. You know why though? He doesn't want people to feel like they've accomplished anything. He wants them to have it in the fall, September, October, November, December, and especially
Makes
January.
sense.
That's where our awards are. But I kind of like the little intermediate things. Those can be fun. They can break up the monotony.
What motivated you the most, Trevor, when you were playing?
Fear of failure. You know, I didn't want to let down my teammates. I didn't want to be sat down on the bench. And so I worked hard because if I wouldn't, I would fail, and I would be embarrassed if I did. Simple as that. We got a national championship in part because I was afraid to fail.
Georgia's defense needs to be better, and there'll be some schematic
And
changes.
for those of you who don't know, Trevor was at
And one thing Georgia's
BYU.
always had is these freakish hybrid pass rushers.
And I
But
think
you know what they also need?
I'm right there.
Improvement in the secondary.